It's 8 p.m. in Banjul, and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue with me, Ansmana Isonyase. Here are the main news headlines. The Gambia's Vice President, Mohamed B.S. Jallow, presided over the launching of the Gambia's first ever capital market on Friday. World Rabies Day was commemorated on Thursday by the Gambia Horse and Donkey Trust in collaboration with animal welfare advocates. In fulfillment of its social corporate responsibility, the Central Bank of the Gambia has signed an agreement with the Gambia Armed Forces to support GAF with various development projects. A devastating fire destroyed the house of a retired Catholic priest in Lamen in the West Coast region. And in international news, today, 29 September, is International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste, with the goal to raise awareness of the importance of food loss and waste. Stay tuned for more on these and other stories. And we now take a look at the news in detail. The Gambia's Vice President, Mohamed B.S. Jallow, presided over the launching of the Gambia's first ever capital market on Friday. If successful, the capital market is expected to enhance the operations and transactions of the country's financial system. Alusisa witnessed the historic event and Hina reports.
The Central Bank of the Gambia is spearheading the establishment of a capital market in the Gambia at the request of the government through the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. The move follows the enactment of the Capital Market and Securities Act 2021 and the appointment of the Central Bank of the Gambia to establish and nurture the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Gambia Stock Exchange, while the Securities and Exchange Commission will regulate the stock exchange. Buha Saidi, Governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia, welcomed this maiden capital market as historic in the ongoing developments of the country's financial sector. He gave assurances of the Central Bank's resolve to restore macroeconomic stability.
You will all agree with me that the Gambia has a long-established money market where short-term instruments are issued. The bond issuance has been few and far between, with a very shallow secondary market. This, however, was a one-sided financial market which we have been managing with for years. Today's launch will begin an end to this with the introduction of the capital market, where non-debt securities such as shares and equities are issued and traded.
The capital market is further expected to facilitate the mobilization of long-term saving and investment, engender efficiency in resource allocation where they are most needed, and promote economic growth, among other benefits. Sidi Keita, the Gambia's Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs, said the launch is a paradigm shift geared towards addressing the shortfall in accessing long-term credit, despite having 13 commercial banks in the country, which only provide short-term loans as of now.
Since independence, our financial architecture has been predominantly made up of insufficient, has the following features. One is the insufficient access to long-term capital, underdeveloped private sector sources of capital, and limited foreign direct investment, constrained by a small economy, low income, small population size, and these all pose significant risk and cost of doing business in the country.
Deputizing for President Barrow, Mohamed B.S. Jallow, the Vice President of the Gambia, said a capital market serves as an essential organized system for easy flow of capital for the financial sector to thrive.
The Capital Market and Security Act will serve as the principal regulatory document for the capital and securities market to ensure a dynamic, fair, transparent, and efficient system that supports economic development. In accordance with the Green Recovery Focused National Development Plan 2023 to 2027, and the long-term development vision to 2050, it is planned and expected that the capital market will be a vital pillar in providing the required funding through its diverse product offerings and financing mechanism.
Both the stock exchange and central securities depository will be located at the central bank on a temporary basis until the market is adequately resourced to become independent. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cissé.
Now, World Rabies Day, observed annually on September 28, was commemorated on Thursday by the Gambia Horse and Donkey Trust in collaboration with animal welfare advocates. Events were held at Brikama and Gunjur in the West Coast region and other parts of the country. Lamin Dabo reports.
World Rabies Day is commemorated to raise awareness of rabies prevention by vaccinating dogs to prevent rabies, engage communities on how to detect rabies and what to do in a case of a dog bite. The day is observed on September 28 as it marks the anniversary of the death of Louis Pasteur, the French chemist and microbiologist who developed the first successful rabies vaccine. Momodou Doumbouya, the president of Gambia Animal Welfare Advocates Association, spoke about the significance of the day.
Rabies is a killer disease, and this disease is spreading all over our country and is killing, most especially the children. The children are always affected because they are the people who are always associated with dog. It is very, very important for us to come out this day and vaccinate our dogs so that the dogs will be free from rabies. And if dogs are free from rabies, it means the population or the people are free from rabies.
Though fatal, rabies is preventable and deaths from the disease can be prevented by administering vaccines. While a variety of animal species can host rabies, dogs are responsible for 99% of human cases, according to the World Health Organization. Eliminating rabies in dogs is therefore key to sustainably preventing rabies. Lambaba Cisse, the general manager of the Gambia Horse and Donkey Trust, commended all the partners for their efforts in the fight against rabies in the country.
I will appeal to the general public that anytime this day is very important, we take our dogs out to vaccinate them because they have no cure. You can prevent, but no cure. Good. So I will advise the general public that every year we will try to do this and to see that we go for zero rabies in the country.
Ibrahim, a vaccination officer with the Gambia Horse and Donkey Trust, calls on the public to see rabies as everyone's problem.
We bring the vaccine and give to farmers for free in charge. Because if you see one vaccine is costing, I can say almost $10,000, is so expensive. So when we say free, I think people should come out and then bring their dogs for the vaccination, for them to have the greatest opportunity in the world.
After a rabies exposure, the virus has to travel to the brain before it can cause symptoms. When it reaches the brain, it causes cerebral dysfunction, anxiety, and agitation. As the disease progresses, the person may experience hallucinations, fear of water, and sleeplessness, among other symptoms. The infected person dies within 10 days. These animal advocates encourage people to bring their dogs to be vaccinated to prevent rabies and rabies-related deaths. For QTV News, I am Lamin Alaifandin-Dabo.
Now, in fulfillment of its corporate social responsibility, the Central Bank of the Gambia on Friday signed an agreement with the Gambia Armed Forces to support our men in uniform with various development projects. Loyam Kamara was at the signing ceremony and Sina reports.
The Central Bank of the Gambia will support the Gambia Armed Forces in the areas of water and electricity supply, construction of kitchens and provision of utensils, and the renovation of barracks and offices at the Yundum Barracks, Kato Military Outpost, and the Mansakonko Military Post. Boaz Saidi, the Central Bank Governor, says the signing is a testimony of the bank's commitment towards fulfilling its social corporate responsibility.
The Central Bank of the Gambia is mandated by its Act of 2018, among other things, to 1. Achieve and maintain price stability, promote and maintain currency stability, encourage and promote sustainable economic development. Central Bank of the Gambia undertook to assist the Gambia Armed Forces through its corporate social responsibility to improve some of its infrastructure. This is expected to contribute to improving the working environment and welfare of the Gambia Armed Forces.
Improved national security contributes to the peace and stability of a country, enhancing the smooth flow of goods and service. Yankuba Edrame, the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, while recognizing the importance of the partnership, calls on other institutions to emulate the central bank.
The donated items or the pledge that you promised to do would definitely be put to good use. I can assure you that. And most importantly also, others had made pledges. Allow me to use this occasion to perhaps give them what I call a gentle reminder. It's a willingness, a gentle reminder. Perhaps we've not knocked on their doors, but perhaps they will serve as also a gentle reminder to some of them. If they could perhaps emulate the fine example of the Central Bank of the Gambia.
Rohia Bitedawo, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Defense, emphasized the importance and the need for such partnerships.
Anything that we do for them, we're doing it for ourselves. Because without peace, we cannot do anything. And the governor made mention of that. So peace is a prerequisite for development. The same thing applies to security. If you're not secure, if you have a criminal in front of your gate threatening to kill you or to hurt you, you will not have time to go out to go to work. You will not have time to go out to buy food. So what would you do? Because you cannot get out to fight him. Eventually you turn out to your security agencies. And that is why any support we can get from the private sector and the public sector to complement government is highly welcome. We cannot do it alone because it's very, very expensive to maintain a security force on armed forces.
Officials of the central bank implored the Gambia Armed Forces to maintain the facility sustainably. This partnership is a good example of how public institutions can work together to promote national development. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
And a report there by Lolly M. Kamara will lead us to the commercial break, but we will be right back.
Waalaikum salam. Pagal ma dem. Na ngeen def. Xadi li nga jël ci Argentine mom ma sha Allah. Yow, man de ma Argentine lay dundé suma kër. Gis bi dafa ceñ. Ceñ. Masuta ceñ.
waaw du gis ngeen daw si ba mu amee sikki sàkkane Armante mi dañoo wecci ay cafkaam ba ñu ko ubbilee siwo bi ba xet gi dugg ko cam billahi la mu yëg bari na Armante ñaar fukki at ak nangam ba mu ne cëpp ci réew mi ba tey mësula wecci doxalin mësula wecci cafka
bu leen ci am benn ñaari xel man mii di jaay lépp luy produit gi Armante rek am naa ko am na 500 millilitres 1000 millilitres ak 5 kilos ba noppi nag am 750 ml bi nga xam ne mi ngi toj réew mi gis nga Armante Eva Protect Milk bi mooy mos dolli te Armante spaghetti bii ngay gis moo dàq ci spaghetti yi
gis nga Armante bottom margarine bi noonu la gënee ci yow mi nga xamante ne yaa ngi jaay tàngana ci Johnson bi comme bi fi Armante la dugal sa waa ñoddi sa kombe bi gis ngeen lii sardañ la da nga gis góobi jën bi dafa neex gis nga meew ko ndig mil bi Armante ko fi indi moom mi dafa sakkan xoolal xale bi nu muy naanee banana milk bi gis ngeen flamingo oil bi dem leen ci bépp boutique bépp supermarket ci bépp marché
Armante ki prodogam kenn mënu koo ceeñ
Armante boppam ndax moo di good quality food.
The Central Bank of the Gambia, having been requested by the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, will establish and nurture the Security Exchange Commission, Central Security Depository, and the Gambia Stock Exchange. His Excellency, President Adama Barrow, will officially launch the first capital market of the Gambia on Friday, 29 September 2023 at the Sadauda Kairaba Jawara International Conference Center. Please join us to celebrate this significant milestone in the financial market landscape of our dear country, the Gambia.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, a devastating fire destroyed the house of a retired Catholic priest in Lamen in the West Coast region in the early hours of Wednesday. Julian Jai tells us more.
To an eyewitness, the fire incident started at about 1:15 in the early hours of Wednesday morning at St. Peter's Senior Secondary School in Lamen. Father Jaju, who resided there, was not at the house at the time of the incident. Like many fire outbreaks, the cause of the fire is yet to be established. Anna Marimendi, an eyewitness, explains how the fire started.
It's my mom who had it. My mom he wake up to go to the toilet, then she heard a sound. Then she also peeped on the window and she saw the fire was on father's house. Then she came and called me and said, Anna Marie, get up. I said, what happened? She said, and father's house is on fire. Then I just wake up and saw the same thing. Then I rushed to the seminarians and called Father Richard and the other boys. Then they also followed me, came to the house. We are trying to off it, but we couldn't. Then we also called the fire service. By then it was around 1 to going to 2. We called the fire service. Father Richard called them. Then they said they are coming. Till we didn't see them. So up to around 3, then they came and everything was burned up.
Father David Jimon Jaju, a retired Catholic priest and fire victim, says he was alerted by one of his neighbors.
And sometime about a little after 3 o'clock, I arrived here. And then I met the fire service. They were here already trying to open this door here behind me, that one. And the door was open in my presence. But by then everywhere was burned down. So the other door was also open and they helped to quench the fire. At least they were able to contain it. And afterwards they said that's where they can stop, and they had to go back. Unfortunately, the tank or the vehicle they brought, the water that was in was exhausted. But at that time, they had contained the fire, and the rest, we had to just finish it up with douses of water and things like that.
Father Jaju explained the loss he is in court because of the fire.
Well, my mass box is the first thing I was looking for, and then luckily the only things I found there was the picks that was empty, and then the oils, oil stocks. But the missile and all those things, they're all gone. But I also retrieved a chalice. So probably the things I would say I retrieved, and they were intact, 2 gas bottles and the big chalice. But the small chalice that I have in my mass box, everything is gone. My alb, my stole, cassocks and all those things are all gone.
Father Jaju went on to thank neighbors and express gratitude for all those who have supported him during this difficult time. At the moment, Father Jaju is being accommodated by a fellow priest. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
Well, our prayers and thoughts are with Father Jaju and his family during these difficult times. Now, Young Football Academy players, together with the chairman, Kerawan Area Council, embarked on cleaning and clearing waste from subs and drainage in Farafenye. Later, the same day, public health inspectors visited homes, marketplaces, and the abattoir. Don Williams observed it all and tells us more.
As part of the development taking place in Farafenny, some boys of the Stagger News Farafenny Football Academy took the lead by embarking on cleaning and clearing waste from along the newly constructed drainage and around shops. David Williams, a footballer, explained the purpose of their cleaning exercise.
The council cannot do it alone. Farafenny belongs to every one of us that live there. My advice to others outside there is to come out and clean Farafenny.
The Kerawan Area Council Chairman, Papa Tunkara, and his team joined the academy boys to pick up the garbage to be transported to the dump sites. At the end of the exercise, he thanked and offered his appreciation to the young lads for taking the lead in the development of the town in the hope that others would emulate such action. Later in the day, I joined a team of public health officers on their inspection tour of various homes, illegal dump sites across the town and the abattoir. Lamin Ba, a public health officer, explained the purpose of the environmental inspection as he acknowledges his office is aware they can do more.
We are very active on environmental inspection. That is visiting houses and then the environment too. but we have other activities like BAP registrations, immunizations, but environmental inspection was one of the activity which the office was not embarking much. But we see lot of environmental issues. This is one of the reasons which trigger the office to be really active.
In one of the compounds visited, they observed that liquid waste was not disposed of properly but emptied into the road. Sini Johnny, a public health desk officer out on compound inspection, explains.
From the series of compound inspections that we did, inspection of public places, we realized that this is definitely a challenge. So only focusing on compound inspection to address this will not definitely yield the results. So we decided that we put compound inspection on hold and we focus on wastewaters that are generated in the compounds and are drained into public spaces.
Farafeni is working towards tackling sanitation and waste collection and management, and judging by the initiatives we witness, it is clear the community is willing to play its part. Don Williams, QTV News, Farafeni.
And from a report there by Don Williams, now on to some international news. The 29th September is International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste. With less than 7 years left to reach Sustainable Development Goal 12, which targets to have per capita global food waste at all levels by 2030, this year's theme highlights the urgent necessity to accelerate action towards the transformation of agri-food systems. Mawudun Boy tells us more.
The cruel paradox of the global food situation is that while the number of people affected by hunger has been slowly on the rise since 2014, tons and tons of edible food are lost or wasted every day. In this country, hunger has risen from 5 to 8% over the past 5 years, according to the World Food Programme USA. Globally, around 13% of food produced is lost between harvest and retail, while an estimated 17% of total global food production is wasted in households, in the food service, and in retail altogether, according to the FAO. In the Gambia, the actual data is not available, according to the agency, but some value chain studies with the expertise of the Institute of Social Research and Development Gambia have been done on priority commodities such as groundnut, rice, and mango, and their analysis confirms considerable food losses in perishable agricultural commodities, particularly in legumes, fruits and vegetables, which impacts the availability of locally produced food for the people and explains why the country may still import large quantities of produce to meet domestic demand. Food loss and waste occurs at all stages of the food supply chain, from production, where pests and diseases are the biggest threats, to processing, transportation, distribution and consumption, and it is caused by a variety of factors, including inadequate infrastructure, poor handling practices, and consumer behavior. According to the FAO, food loss and waste also puts unnecessary pressure on the environment and are depleting the natural resource base, as the water, land, energy, labor, and capital resources that were used to produce this food go to waste. Furthermore, the disposal of food loss and waste in landfills leads to greenhouse gas emissions, contributing to climate change. The goal of marking this day, first marked in 2020, is to raise awareness to the importance of the problem and its possible solutions at all levels. FAO and the United Nations Environment Programme have issued a call to action for public and private entities from across the food system and consumers to take action to reduce food loss and waste, to support the transformation of agri-food systems and contribute to the achievement of the 2030 Agenda. The impact of food waste on hunger, climate change, natural resources and food security is enormous and looks set to get worse, according to many experts, whose estimates show that we will need to increase our global food production by 70% to meet the needs of our growing population. It is an existential challenge requiring ambition, commitment and consistency. The profligacy of the current paradigm must surely be a moral stain on the world that allows so much food loss and waste, while hundreds of millions of people are going hungry. For QTV News, I'm Mahmoud Mbouch.
And I'm afraid that's all about it for this bulletin. But before we take a leave of you, here's a recap of our main headlines. President Mohamed B.S. Jallow presided over the launching of the Gambia's first ever capital market on Friday. World Rabies Day was commemorated on Thursday by the Gambia Horse and Donkey Trust in collaboration with animal welfare advocates. In fulfillment of its corporate social responsibility, the Central Bank of the Gambia has signed an agreement with the Gambia Armed Forces to support GAF with various development projects. A devastating fire destroyed the house of a retired Catholic priest in Lamen in the West Coast region. And in international news, today, 29 September, is International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste, with the goal to raise awareness of the importance of food loss and waste. That's it for this bulletin. To join us tomorrow, same time, for more news. Until then, on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching.